everyone, and welcome back to Tea with the Queens. I am excited. I am doing something a little different today. I am on the go, but regardless if I'm on the go, we're still about business. We're still about this transformation, empowerment, and achievement. So we're here to do what we have to do, and we have an awesome guest today. And I'm so excited to bring her up and for her to share who she is with us and to pour into us today, to give us knowledge about what it is that she do and how we can benefit from what she does. So her name is Miss Andrea, and we're going to bring her up, and she's going to let us know exactly who she is. Hello. How?
Hello. I was on mute, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's quite all right. So we're gonna get this thing together.
Yes, so hello. It's wonderful to be here with you, Millicent. I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
having a conversation with you. And I've bought my cup of tea.
Yes, and
I
look, and
pulled
I'm,
out a
I'm like,
special cup. I
yes.
pulled out a special cup that was my mother's, and the special cups that never get bought out and only on special occasions. But I think
Yes.
sharing a cup of tea with anyone is a special occasion. So
It is. It's a special occasion, and and sharing a cup of tea is what I would like to call it's intimate, and it's a connection, and it's a blessing. So I'm blessed to be here. I don't have my tea today, but I'm here, so that's a blessing, and it's nice. It's beautiful out, and we have Miss Putting. Is it right? Is it Putting?
sorry, your sound's a bit low.
Oh, I'm sorry. It said, is it Putting, Miss Putting?
Pudding.
Putting. Okay, Putting. So we have Miss Putting with us, and will you share with us who Miss Putting is?
Oh, who am I? Well, I am the founder of Chocolate and Coffee Breaks, or Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony, where it started, and now it's Chocolate and Coffee Breaks. So I was very excited to be sharing this experience with you because it is all about connection. Just like you said, that when you sit down and have a cup of tea with someone, it's about building that connection. And that's what Chocolate and Coffee Breaks is all about, building connections between people who don't know each other or have difference in some way. So I started that, and I can go more into that if you like. But I'm also that led me to an exploration on social mission. So I started a podcast, Social Mission Revolution, which then led me into writing books about social impact. So they're compassionate prosperity when success is not enough, and compassionate purpose, discovering a life of fulfillment. So they're the things that bring me alive, that I'm really passionate about. And then I kind of dovetail all that because that all led me into publishing. So now I publish other people's books
Oh,
because I
okay.
publish my own, and people are going, help me publish yours. So I do that as well as a sideline. So, but my passion really lies in this simple thing that we're doing here is sharing a cuppa with each other and getting to know who I'm sitting with. And so, because when we do that, we break down the barriers that divide community, divide
Yes.
us. We get to know people from a different, through their eyes. So it's an important thing.
It really is. Yesterday, I went to a women's group, and I wasn't even going to go, but I went. It was like an hour and 20 minutes from my house, but I went, and I had a great time, and I got to meet women, and we just sat around, and we had finger snacks, and then we had wine, or they had, not alcoholic drinks, and we sat around and we talked and we got to know each other. And I met a women from Ukraine. It was women from London, and there was women that were from Wisconsin, wherever. We all came together and we had a conversation, and it was maybe about, I would say, no more than 15 of us, but it was so empowering because we just sat and we had socialization. We were able to network and talk about each other's dreams and some of the things that they've been through in life, and it was so empowering. It was so impactful. So I see what you're saying. It's like just bringing the conversation together, and I look at it as fellowship. I love the fellowship between us, and it's so important. I think it's important for us as far as our mental, our emotional state, and it just brings that full circle of like a big hug around you. That's how I look at it. And nothing
Yeah,
more than I love a good cup of coffee and a good cup of tea. And it's just a good, it's just a wonderful feeling. So
it is.
when did you start when did you start the trend of the coffee and the conversation?
Yeah, that started.
Coffee and chocolate. Let me get it right. Coffee
Yeah,
and chocolate.
chocolate and coffee.
Chocolate and coffee. I want to get it right. So we want to talk about that because that's a strong impact because no, and I can interject and you could tell me if I'm wrong. Chocolate is a comfort food for a lot of
That's right.
people. So then when you put the chocolate in there, it's got a little bit of comfort in there. And I just that's kind of when you gave me the title, that's kind of how I perceived it. But if you can share with us how that came about.
Yeah. So chocolate and coffee day for religious harmony was where I started with, and that was I started 9.5 years ago. I started that after a response from an event that happened in Australia. It's coming up to 10 years ago. So chocolate and coffee I started 8.5 years ago. So what happened was that a gunman stormed a chocolate cafe in Sydney, which is 1,000 kilometres away from where I live. And so I was sitting here watching it unfold on my computer. So he took them hostage. Now he was doing this in the name of Allah, and it was a lot of terrorism happening outside of Australia at the time. So this was not happening in Australia. This was doesn't happen in Australia. So it was a big shock to all of us that this was going on. In the aftermath to that, the gunman and two innocent people were
Mm,
killed. Now, the gunman was actually found that he was a known psychopath to the police. However, at the time it was just seen that a Muslim was taking hostage people, and so there was fear in the aftermath of that there'd be retaliation against the Muslim community. However, what happened was 150,000 people took to social media with the hashtag I will ride with you. They offered to ride the train, the bus, and the ferry with Muslim people to ensure that they arrived where they were going safely. This was this overwhelmed me. I was so touched by this. Is that we are a people of love and peace. We're not going to respond in hate and terror. We're responding in love.
yes.
And so, that kind of sat with me for a while. And I thought, why is it that we wait until there is a tragedy before we speak up, before we stand up and say, we care about other people. We want to live in a community where people live together in harmony, regardless of race, religion, culture, whatever. We live together in this community. And so that was the start of Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony. And so
Wow.
all I was saying to people was, I keep it really simple. All I want you to do is to reach out to someone who's different to you and share a chocolate and a coffee and have a conversation, share stories, because the story sharing is transformational. It changes us because we get to see somebody else's story, we see their perspective in things, and it's proven in research that just 1 hour with someone who you have an intolerance to will break down those barriers to not just them but to their whole social group.
Yes.
And so that's the start where chocolate and coffee breaks started, and it kind of moved. Now I talk about chocolate and coffee breaks because why should we keep the joy of chocolate and coffee to once a year? Let's have it any and every day of the year when you can reach out to somebody and show them that you care.
Yes.
And I wanted to go beyond just being religion. It's culture, it's race, it's ideology, it's disabilities or abilities and sexuality. There's a whole gamut of differences that people deal with on an everyday basis. But if we can just sit down and share a cuppa with someone and
Yes.
listen to their stories, we can change the world.
You
One
know it,
person.
and it's so powerful that that particular time of sharing, just drinking coffee or drinking tea or just having a Danish or a piece of chocolate and just having that conversation. For one, it not only is comforting, but like you said, it just brings us together. I look forward to in the mornings when I get up. I look forward to my cup of coffee. And when my mom's around, I want her sitting there having a cup of coffee with me because that's our
Yeah.
time to just relax before we start the day, to enjoy that coffee and to really just enjoy each other. And it's, just when people go out to dinner and they have dinner and a glass of wine, that's important to them. But think about it, when you have the coffee, and they have coffee shops everywhere, and where you could just go in and just sit and just have coffee. And I love how they have it set up sometimes where it's like a little fireplace if it's cold, and or they
Mm.
may put the seats outside when it's warm, and you're sitting there, you're having that coffee and you have enjoying the atmosphere. It's about creating the whole space. And when you put in, like you said, bring others in that are maybe different cultures and different ethnic groups, maybe different abilities, all of those things, and you take that time and you share that moment with them, then it makes the moment just more beautiful. And it just brings us closer together. And it's not, I hate to say something as simple as coffee, but it's not so much that it's simple. It's a cup of coffee and it does so much to bring us together. And I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's something that I'm like now, I'm thinking, hey, like let's get a movement going. Maybe in the fall, come together and maybe have a segment. We just go live and say, hey, this is coffee and chocolate time with Miss Andrea Pudding. Is it Pudding? Because I'm from
Putting.
Midwest. Pudding. I'm from the Midwest, Indiana, in
That's
the
okay.
Midwest United States, and I say our language is like I'll say pudding. We don't know how to pronounce words right.
That's
So it's,
okay.
that's that accent. But something like that, just bring us together, have that conversation, sharing, and just being able to say, you never know who would join and who just needs that little bit of time with someone to help their day. I just
Yeah.
really that is so important. That is so
Yeah.
important.
And that was the whole thing with creating chocolate and coffee, is that I felt like if there is one thing that goes beyond all cultures, all religions, or everything, it's just sitting down with somebody and having a cuppa. For some, it may not be coffee, let's be honest, but it's sitting down with somebody and having a cuppa, because there is that comfort feeling. You feel safe when you sit down with a cuppa with someone, especially when you add chocolate to it,
Yes.
because it gives you that warm hug.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it grabs you and it just, embraces you. And you're talking, like I said, someone who, I mean, I love coffee and I love tea. And I have mugs everywhere. And that's kind of probably why I came up with the concept of tea, because that was like my go-to. That's who wouldn't want a nice warm cup of tea? And that was what I would do, like especially after a long day. I look forward to going home to my tea. But now I'm like on the coffee thing. I like the taste of the richness of coffee, and it's just like a whole mood after that. I just really enjoy that. But I mean, so how did you transition, into what you're doing now? Well, you still have that, but what you're doing now, how did that come
Yeah.
about?
So when I started Chocolate and Coffee Day, I had been on this exploration of what was my purpose. I had left a job which I wasn't happy with. Before that, I'd had a business, and before that, I was an at home mum. And so I'd had all this experience and going, well, with what's wrong with the business world? What's wrong with that everyone is so unhappy, and why are business owners losing their passion? Why are employees unhappy in the workplace? And
Hmm.
I was going through all this kind of exploration, and then Chocolate and Coffee Day kind of um, was my big wake up call. Like, here it is. This is something that's powerful. And so I was fascinated by how having a social mission transformed my life, how it made me feel when I got up in the morning, how it made me feel when I presented myself in the world. It was so uplifting. to me. I thought, well, what if that was transferred into business? How would that change the way that people feel about their business, employees feel about working? And so I went on that exploration. That's when I started the podcast, Social Mission Revolution, so I could talk to people and understand their experiences of what it meant to have a social mission in business and their life.
Yes.
So, and then I kept on the research travel, of course, with that as well. And then that led me to writing books on the topic. So I have one that's for business and one that's for individuals, because that's what I couldn't. I wanted to put them in one book, and a book coach said to me, "No, these are two separate books." So it ended up being nice size books. They're not. It's not a great big book that's overwhelming. You know, they're quite. They're actually quite thin books that
Oh,
someone
okay.
can read and, you know, not be overwhelmed, but get great ideas and be guided on kind of the path of how do we go about developing a social mission in our life or business. So that kind of led me onto that travel, and that's something that, you know, I can speak about these two topics. I can speak to you until I'm blue in the face, because
Yeah.
I love them so much, and they are, someone said to me the other day, that's your thing. And I go, yes, my thing is helping people find their thing that gets them
Yes.
as excited as this, because it's powerful.
And
It
that's an
is transformational.
excitement. It's an excitement for you to be excited about something and to see how you're helping someone to become excited about themselves and what they're doing. That's a great feeling, and it makes everything that you're doing so much worthwhile. And
Yeah.
that's what we all should strive for when we're doing our thing, just the love of it. So I had a coach ask me one time, and when you do something, would you do this thing whether you were getting paid or not? And I was like, yes, because it was a passion of mine. And it's like that's what it is. If you do something and you're not expecting anything but positive outcomes, then you know it's from the heart. You know it's from the heart.
Yeah. And that's something that it's strangely, it's an angle that I really take within my books, in that, yes, making a difference is really good for the world, and fighting for a cause is really good, and all that kind of stuff. It's good for everybody else. It's good for the world. And you do it not for yourself, not to, you have to be doing something that's not for yourself. So I often talk about going beyond the why. So it's not your why, it's somebody else's. But I really talk about how good it is for us to be doing this. It is part of our well-being to be helping other people, to be serving other people. And there's a whole lot of research around that as well, that says that people, for example, I'll use volunteering as an example, that people who volunteer are happier, healthier, live longer, and have greater lifespans. Who does have a greater social group? So um, it's what we need to live a happy and full life, is we need to be serving others for the sake of serving others. So it's this kind of strange cycle thing that you can't be completely selfless about this, because it is for you as much as it is for other people. And so that's why it just brings so much joy to your life to be able to serve others, to have a social mission that is beyond who you are. It's powerful. Okay. So all of that just kind of, every life takes you in interesting directions, and the last thing I ever expected to do was to become a publisher. However, I had 3 books at one time to be published, because that's what you do during COVID lockdowns, is you write your books.
Yes.
So then I couldn't afford to publish 3 books at once, so I engaged experts to teach me how to do it. So I published my books, and then people were asking me, it's like, how do you do this? I need help doing this, and I don't have the time to do it myself, and it's too overwhelming. Can you help me publish my books? And so I now publish other people's books for them. And so I have a small publishing company. It's bespoke, so I work individually with people. And I call my publishing company Put in Words.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it gives
And
me
so
another avenue for sharing stories and empowering people to get their message into the world, get their voices heard.
and sharing, sharing stories is powerful. I hope people really understand how powerful that is. To share your story. There's glory in your story. So
Yeah.
how can they get? I get your website, and so when they go to your website, they can kind of get, you know, those services, or they know where to go for if they whatever services that you're offering.
Yeah, they can go on to I've created the website andreaputting.com, and on that page is links to all the different things that I do, and how to contact me is there, or you can follow the email address that's going across the screen. So if you go to andreaputting.com, there is links to publishing, chocolate and coffee, social mission, the whole thing. And
Oh
they
yeah,
can,
and then if the website to the email addresses as well, so they can reach out to you through your email and be able to
yes,
go to your website. And
yes,
I will make sure when I do a flyer for you as well, I'll make sure that all your information is on there so they can get in contact with you as well and be able to, benefit from your services, especially when it comes to being an author and really writing and sharing your story, expressing yourself in your story. That's the
yes,
art of telling your story, is to really get that base. So if you're really confused, you really don't know where to go, then Miss Andrea will be the person to talk to about really establishing the foundation of your story.
yeah. So I'm really happy to
Yes.
have conversations with people. So if they do want to email me or contact me through LinkedIn or wherever they're comfortable with, you can just go on the internet and put my name in, and I will arrive in your because I'm the only one in the world, so you won't be confused. So if you see my name, that's who I am. You've got me.
And then too, embrace that time with the chocolate and the coffee, and really take advantage of that fellowship with someone who may not even get that on a regular, but offer that to someone and just enjoy that time with them.
Yes, it is really powerful. And the person I shared chocolate and coffee with the other day was just so grateful that I took the time
Yes.
to reach out to her and listen to what was going on for her in a time when she felt like no one was listening. It is so powerful.
So never.
Never underestimate the power of sharing
Yeah.
sharing a chocolate with somebody.
But I really want to thank you so much. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for allowing me to interview you. I'm not in my regular space, but you still was so kind enough to allow me that opportunity to meet with you, to fellowship with you, and to learn of your services. And I do not take that lightly. I'm hard on myself. I really am. So this is one of those moments. But the conversation was beautiful. The atmosphere was beautiful, and I am very, very, very grateful. I'm grateful, and I just look forward to maybe participating in chocolate and coffee, maybe a segment, bring other women in and let's share. I'm very excited about that. And thank you for even giving me the opportunity to have you on my platform to even speak to you about your remarkable journey and what you're doing for the people, for women, bringing us together and just being able to express ourselves in that social environment.
Thank you, Millicent. I really appreciate your time as well, and it's been a real joy talking to you.
You as well. So, any parting words you have?
Oh, my favorite thing to leave people with is if you touch one person's life, you change the world. Just one person. So share a chocolate and coffee with one person. Open the door, smile to one person because it does change the world. It changes you, it changes them, and that ripples out into places that you can never imagine. So one person, you can do it.
Yes. So thank you so much again for sharing with us. And I know it's early in the morning, and I pray that you have a wonderful, blessed day for the rest of the day. And like I said, we take those words that you're giving us, and we're going to try our best to live by them. All we got to do is do it. But I say try because you just never know. But we are going to take those words and try to apply them to our life and live by those words you said. Help one person along the way, and your living will not be in vain.
Yes,
Thank you.
if everyone helps one person, I'm a happy girl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Millicent.